We're Hassani and Danielle Pettiford, and we're a real couple with real problems who almost called it quits.
I was very frustrated. I became very disconnected, very jaded and cold.
We have 4 children, going on 20 years of marriage, and we practice what we preach.
Our mission, to change the way couples relate to one another and teach them the skills needed to improve the quality of their relationships. This is the Couples Academy Show.
Well, good morning, good morning, good morning. My name is Hassani.
I'm Danielle.
And we are the Couples Academy Show, and we are glad to be with you here this morning. As you can see, I'm kind of in a different location. I'm in a undisclosed remote.
Undisclosed, secret, underground location. Nobody can know.
And it's cold. I mean, it's cold. I feel like it's Texas cold up in here right now.
Wow.
By the way, we want to just send a prayer and a shout out and good wishes to all of our family who are in Texas, because over the last few weeks, they've been going through some challenging times with severe weather conditions, blackouts, just, lights out, power out, water off. So we're praying for you all. We have a lot of clients there, so our heart is with you, and we pray that you come out of that situation soon.
Absolutely. Listen, guys, it's relationship Q&A, and I just want to welcome you to the show. Make sure if you're new that you like, share, and subscribe. Hit that notification bell so that you always get notified whenever we're going live, which is Monday through Friday at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So here's how we do this, guys. We come on here, we acknowledge you, we say hello, but you have to let us know where you're coming in from. And you ask questions. So you just drop those questions one after another. It's a quick fire, and we're going to try to get through as many questions as we can. Sometimes we get stuck on a couple questions because they're really good and we think that we're helping you. So just make sure that if you have something really important that you want us to answer for you, you get your questions in early, because this goes by pretty quick. So I want to welcome you, Delisa. Good morning from Indianapolis. I see you, Angel. I see you, Smurf. Good morning, Vishon from Chicago. Good morning, Tiffany. Oh, they're popping in quick now. Hey, Kias. Good to see you from Texas. I hope it's warm, getting warmer there. Or at least I hope your heat and electricity is on over there. You got to let us know what's going on with that. Good morning, Texas. There's a lot of Texas going on. Good morning, Tiffany. Good to see you, Noreen from South Carolina. So we're going to jump right into these questions. The first question here is Delisa. She says, good morning. Let me just pull that up. Sorry about that. Good morning from Indianapolis, Indiana. My question is, what do you do when you're the only one not only keeping things romantic, but investing into your marriage? After 10 years, I'm exhausted and he's panicking. His second part says, I've asked my husband why he waits until I'm overwhelmed to see that there's a problem. His reply was that his concern is financial, not emotional. Is this the reason why most husbands are bewildered? Hassani, what do you want to jump in on that one?
Well, there's a lot in here. I'm going to speak to both, and then we can tag team this. So number one, what do you do when you've been the one for 10 years who's invested everything romantically, and you've been the main contributor in terms of all things concerning that marriage, and now you're exhausted and he's panicked? Good. That's exactly where he needs to be. I would say push pause. You've invested 10 years. Now it's time to receive a return on your investment. He's got to do what he has to do to win your heart back and to make sure that the relationship remains secure. Now, here's the deal. He said, well, my main focus was provider, to take care of the financial obligations of the household. And that's the problem with most men. We are so one-dimensional in our approach and don't realize that there are 4 dimensions to a man. Another way of saying that, there are 4 pillars in a man's heart. The pillar that he is leaning in on is the pillar of a king. A king is given vision in order to provide. The problem is most men stop there, but there are 3 other pillars. The second pillar is the pillar of a warrior, and a warrior is given strength in order to protect, not just protecting that woman physically, but protecting her heart, protecting her emotions, protecting her vulnerabilities, making her feel safe and secure. So that means he's showing up the right way in that relationship. The third pillar is the pillar of a mentor, right? A mentor is given wisdom in order to teach. There should be a level of intelligence and know-how that man brings into your life and brings into the family. And then the fourth pillar is the pillar of a friend, and a friend is given love in order to connect. And that's what you're talking about. You've shown up as a friend, or as we will call it, a companion, offering love, and now you're looking to receive a return on your investment. And so he's got to develop himself in those other three pillars in order for him to be a whole, complete man. So being a financial provider is not enough. It's time. And that's why we encourage you to join us at Couples Academy, because we're training women how to be the wives that God has called them to be, and men how to be the husbands that God has called them to be. And
I
when you
think that was
both are
perfectly.
operating in your space, it's all good.
I think that was perfectly answered. We're going to go to the next one. Zach's from Ohio. He says, my wife Danielle and I love watching together. What are some good methods to break down each other's walls and prevent them from going back up while learning to be intimate with each other again? And I'll jump in on this one because I know that you guys are aware that we've had that same dynamic in our relationship where I had a cinder block wall surrounding me and protecting me from the enemy, who at that time in my eyes was my husband. From his verbal assaults, is what I would experience it as, a verbal assault, right? Being critical and all that caused me to build these walls to protect myself. And so now not only was I protecting myself from the insults, but I was protecting myself or distancing myself from the love. The thing that begins to turn that around is the consistency of change, right? Because what happens is, I don't think we build the brick wall or the stone wall immediately. A wall is built brick by brick. And so if you think about every brick that you're paving this protective wall with as, I'm telling you, this is how you're treating me. This is a problem. This needs to change. Let's go to counseling. Let's work it out. Let's do something. And with every brick, you feel ignored. You feel like nothing's ever going to change. You feel like every promise that's made is broken. There's no real commitment to change, or your concerns are completely disregarded, right? Now that's when that brick wall starts to be built. What happens is when real change begins to take place, the person that has been offending and hurting expects for the hurt person to just trust, just demo this wall right now. You can trust me. Just open up your heart to me. And it really doesn't work that way. The person that has built that brick wall has to dismantle it brick by brick. And that happens from that person, the hurtful person, actually showing consistency and being committed to true change, where that person could look outside that wall and say, I see there's a change there. Maybe there's some hope. Maybe, we can have more. And that's when you'll see them take that brick wall down.
Excellent point. Whatever built your brick wall up, I would just simply say reverse engineer what caused it to happen in the first place and do the opposite of that. Period, point blank. We talk about the importance of doing the right thing and no longer doing the wrong thing. So you can do all the right things, but if you continue to do the wrong cancels out all the right that you
Absolutely.
just did. So yeah, reverse engineer it and start from scratch.
Vashan's question, does separation ever help a marriage, or is that just the start of the ending? I think you should take this one, Asani.
Well, I think it depends upon what the purpose of the separation is. So some people are looking to just get away. Like, I can't take this anymore. This is just too much for me. We need to just move out, live under separate households, and figure this thing out once we're gone. And so there's no plan in that. There's no accountability in that. There's no system. There's no third party counselor guiding you through that. And so if that's what you're doing, yeah, that can be the beginning of the very end. One step out is a step closer to divorce. However, if you engage in what we call a controlled separation, and we work couples through what that looks like, there are several touch points throughout the course of that week where you two have to come together. There's a specific agenda where you're working on becoming the best version of yourself. You're not just saying, well, I'm just working on me. Well, what you doing? I'm just saying. Well, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Your plan. And what are you doing to restore the relationship? So there are specific things you're needing to do in order to restore the relationship so that you can come back into the household in a safer environment. So if there's no plan in place, yes, it's the first step towards a divorce.
Yeah, and I feel like it's almost a curse word for a married couple that needs to work on things to be saying, I'm just going to work on me, right? That's when you come to an impasse in the relationship and the other partner refuses to work with you. Then you have no choice but to circle around your own feet and go your own path. But when it comes to separating, if we're in a separation and I'm doing my own thing, you guys are literally going like this, and you're strengthening yourselves in two different directions, which could be catastrophic for your relationship. Guys, this is relationship Q&A. We want to hear from you. What are you guys going through in your relationship? Put your questions in, and we're going to return to you with some powerful answers right after this break. We'll see you in a minute. Welcome back, everybody. You are watching the Couples Academy show, and this is relationship Q&A, and your questions are coming in, so I want to jump right back into it. Jaguar says, when I call him on it, he acts shocked and confused or suggests I'm imagining it or making a big deal out of nothing. Now, first thing I want to say is I got to fill in some blanks on that question. So what I'm assuming is that when you call him on it, meaning issues, problems, stuff that's going on in a relationship, he acts like you're blowing it out of proportion. And this is classic crazy making, right? This is where we are making the person out to be crazy. This is one of those narcissistic behaviors, right? Because you don't have to be a narcissist to have narcissistic behavior. And when somebody is doing crazy making activities, they're making you think that you're the crazy one. You're the one that's lost it. You're the one blowing it out of proportion, and it diminishes what's actually going on. And it's a really tough place to be.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I'm in agreement
on that one. Okay, let's go to the next one, guys. Let's see. Come on, y'all, put your questions in here. Okay.
We got one right here. I see one right here.
Okay.
While me and the significant other is arguing, he'll call his family to have their weigh in on the situation, and it's driving me crazy. So I don't even know. I don't even say anything anymore. And so this is a major, major problem. A lot of people struggle with this, where they're always going outside their household to expose their spouse. A lot of times people are looking for genuine advice and know-how. How do I fix this situation? Others want to put their partner on blast. It's not about reconciling. It's not about making anything better. I'm going to call you out. The danger is when you do that with family members, because here's the deal. The more venom you spew about your spouse, you're helping your family form a conclusion about who you said I do to. So when you two work through your issues and restore your relationship and you're in a better place, they're still salty, because guess what? They're biased to you. They have a bloodline connection to you. They care about you. They love you, and they don't want you to be in a relationship with somebody who's a jerk, let's just say. And so you're looking at them like, no, everything's good now. They're looking at you like, what's wrong with you? You need to get up out of here. So that's why you have to be really careful who you go to.
Absolutely.
You need to go to people who are not just your friend, but you need to go to people who are friends of the marriage.
Yes. Can we just dial back on a point before you go too far? Because the other thing about when we start telling our family members about issues with our spouses, oftentimes they told you so anyway. Oftentimes from the very beginning, it was a problem. They never liked them from the very beginning. They always saw these things, because most of the time, our friends, our family, they can see 360 the situation. They can see all the ways that you've changed. Before you met this person, you were one way, and now you're this way. So they already saw the issues. So they have a really hard time forgiving, letting go, and moving past when what they've always known comes out to be true. And that's where it's really devastating. And so I do believe that you need somebody to talk to, and it doesn't always have to be somebody that you're paying. Sometimes it can be that one very close girlfriend, someone that has your back, Make it somebody that knows how to pray about something. You know, we're always telling people our problems and they share the same problems. And now you have this terrible paddy wagon of people talking about the same things and kind of living in the crab barrel all together. You need to find somebody that knows how to support you and pull you out of that situation prayerfully and emotionally and in other ways. And that's the person that you talk to. Of course, find some strong, powerful counseling.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, I agree. You need somebody who's going to pray for you, pray with you, help you out of that situation and get into a better place. And we talk about the hub and spoke support system. And the hub and spoke, without going too far into that, is having people who represent your answer and have your solution in your corner, rather than sharing your problems with people who are going through the same miserable situation, because they will reinforce your reason to do something that may not be in the best interest of you in your relationship.
Absolutely. Let's go to Marissa here. She says, it only took him 4 days after we broke up to be sexual with 3 exes of his. We was together for 5 years. He wants to marry me, but he can't stop lying. And he tells me he keeps flirting with other girls. What's the question, Marissa?
What's your question? That you took, Danielle, you took the words right out of my. So what's your question?
Do you want us to tell you how to call the Ryder truck, the UPS truck, or the any truck to come help you pack your bags and move out of town? Because that's what I would say. You know, how something begins is a great indicator of how you're going to experience it and how it's going to end. This is why infidelity is so catastrophic, because it's based on lies and unfaithfulness and all these things. You can't start on a weak foundation and think you're going to build something strong. So to me, the fact that he's left, I mean, don't make me go scriptural on you, but the Bible tells you that when the unbeliever leaves, let him go. Bye. And let your life heal. This is the time for you to let your life heal and get the tools to make that happen. That's my response to that.
Yeah, and the fact that she said they broke up, they're not even married, right? So and you said as soon as you broke up, 3 days later or something like that, he's with 3 exes. That's proof that he never left those connections to begin with. Those relationships still existed. Those connections and ties still existed. And that's one of the biggest challenges that so many couples have in their relationship. Their partner is still tied to previous partners, exes, people that they were infatuated with. Oh, we're just friends. Nothing ever happened, but there's this connection. And it violates the integrity of the relationship, creates trust issues, and just takes you down a slippery slope. So you don't want somebody who's connected to all of these individuals. I just,
Right.
I just like feminine energy. I just like being
That's
around
a red
women.
flag from the beginning.
There's nothing wrong with having friends. We just friends. Okay, Joker. Well, you have friends in a relationship with somebody else, because that doesn't work for me.
Right. Let's go to Tiffany. She says, we both came to the marriage with teenage children, now young adults, and it has never really felt that we're a family. We have 1 child. What's your advice for blended families? Well, there's a couple of things there. You came together with teenage children. That's always difficult. Okay. We weren't a blended family, but my mother had a second marriage, and that was really difficult because we were teenagers and we had a hard time accepting that other man into our world. We had our own mind. We had our own agendas, our own activities. We were coming and going. I mean, we were teenagers to the point where we had jobs, right? So it was very difficult for us to blend and become a family. Now they're young adults, they have a lot more freedom. They're kind of coming and going. I think at the end of the day, it's about establishing ground rules from the beginning with this other child, right? As to the fact that our relationship comes first, our marriage comes first, God first, marriage second, children third. That hierarchy, that order in your household creates order and respect. And you both have to be on the same page with that. I know we have another response, Hassan. You probably want to tag team on that, but we're going to a break. You're listening to Couples Academy, guys. We'll be right back in a moment.
Sign up today for the Better Marriage Club and receive exclusive access to the private Facebook group to get your questions answered and your problems solved. Access to our marriage library of live seminars. Watch the Couples Academy Daily Show. Call the help hotline for laser coaching. Get our weekly action guides and receive a private one-on-one call with one of our marriage coaches. To join the Better Marriage Club, simply text MARRIAGE to 973-490-4668. Join today. Your marriage deserves it.
Danielle,
Welcome back, guys. You're watching the Couples Academy show. Hassani, did you want to jump on with that last
Nope.
question? Nope. Moving on to the next.
We
You got
have
another
so
one?
many questions. We want to get to these answers.
Get to the next question. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Okay. Let's see. Noreen, after infidelity, how do you eventually start to bring back healthy sexual approaches? It's hard as a woman because I feel like I'm competing against the person involved in the affair.
I mean, that's a good point. And I think that's always the awkwardness that you have initially after an affair. And we talk about how people show up differently sexually, when an affair has occurred. Some have insecurities, some feel like they're in competition with that other person, so they want to outperform. You have to figure out what works for you and your spouse. And if that means, starting from scratch, starting from ground zero and building up a new form of intimacy and connection, then it's worth doing, because insecurities have crept in, body issues, all types of things. And you don't want to go and doing the same thing you did before and wind up getting the same result. So to me, learning your partner again and starting from scratch is the key.
I agree. And I have to add to this to say that sometimes, when there's no intimacy in your sexuality, it feels like rape. It's a really terrible thing for women to have to deal with it. We deal with it more than men do. They can actually have sex and just get their release, but it's very emotional for us. And so many times what we need to do is dial back and do a whole pause on actual physical sex and intercourse, and instead focus on intimacy. And there's a way that we do that. We have a whole process to help you kind of still engage, connect, and get back to that dating season where you were holding hands and you were connecting intimately and you were talking, and that begins to revive that need and desire for sex.
Absolutely. Let's go to another question. Marissa says, my ex-fiance is currently flirting with other women, but he's trying to get back with me. He says that he was going to post to me again with a ring on Valentine's Day. He has trouble telling me and I guess it continues somewhere else, the truth. So here's another one. What's the question? I mean, here's the deal. Open your eyes. Pay attention to what the person is doing. People will tell you who they are if you pay attention. And I think a lot of times we want to ignore the obvious signs. We want to justify, we want to minimize because of whatever reasons we want to be in those relationships. Whatever he's doing now, he will do after I do. Period, point blank. He's showing you who he is. You don't wait for somebody to become who they're supposed to be after I do. They should be exhibiting those qualities now. So if you're not happy with the fact that he's flirting with other women, yet and still he wants to get back with you, then don't enter into a relationship and think that somehow marriage is the cure to promiscuity.
And this is so not about him, Marissa. This is about you. And this is about the choices that you are deciding to make for your life. You have to think about it that way. Listening to this and you actually asking questions, which I appreciate you bringing this to the table, but asking questions about how to save a relationship and how to work a relationship like this gives me concern about the choices that you might have made in other relationships. And are there patterns there that need to be broken? Right?
Well, Danielle, there is a pattern there, because Marissa continues to say, after 5 years together, I broke up with him because he emotionally cheated with flirting with other women and kicked him out, and found out that he took 4 days for him to get oral from 3 exes.
Yeah. So this is about the choices that you're making. This is about breaking patterns for you and recognizing that you are enough. Period. Next question. JG says, JG says, husband admitted to cheating in the beginning of our marriage. Now I found out there was another one night stand and was on a dating app. He says he still loves me. Can this be true? I mean, I think, of course, he can love you, but it's about how does he know, how has he learned to love, right? A lot of times we express our love and we do things based on how we were trained, how we were raised, what we experienced in our upbringing, right? And so that has a lot to do with it. How you love determines everything. So if he thinks it's okay to be unfaithful and still love his and love you and have the duality of that going on, that's where the problem exists.
Absolutely. Let's go to the next question. Shannon says, do you think couples understand God as the focal point of marriage? I think we want the happiness of marriage before the obedience of marriage. Thoughts? Yeah, I think God
Yes.
has to be the foundation, the crux, the core of that relationship. And because when you're talking about God and bringing in his laws and his love, that's what anchors you and gives you a healthy foundation for a long lasting, mutually beneficial relationship. Someone once said that the average Christian or believer is biblically illiterate about what the Bible has to say about marriage. And so we're going to so many different sources to get an answer that is already found in scripture. Because when we read the Bible from Genesis to Revelations, it has everything that we need. One of my favorite books is Proverbs. Is
Yes.
dripping with wisdom to help you in your relationship. So no, I agree with your point, and I think we need to incorporate God and his system more in our marriage.
I agree. Tania says, good morning. Happy Friday. I'm from Seattle, Washington. I was wondering, what are your thoughts on if you can marry a man that doesn't show leadership in the relationship or leading the family? Well,
What?
let me jump on this. Because what I think is that for most women, it will brood some level of resentment after a while, even if you are the one that is running things, controlling things, handling it, and you think you're that independent, strong woman that can handle it all. When your husband does not have leadership, does not know how to be the man, does not have a vision, eventually we begin to diminish how we see that man and we become resentful of that man.
Yeah. And I would really clarify what you mean by leadership because your definition may be different than his. Keep in mind, we all have different personality styles. So you do have some men who are more laid back in their approach, but it doesn't mean that they're um, not responsible, not taking care of their responsibilities. So I think what you're talking about is really important because it speaks to the partnership component of marriage. And you want to make sure that you two are on the same page in terms of goals and visions and implementation and roles and all those different things before you say I do. And not just ride the wave of emotion and get married and then wake up with the reality that you're not ready for. So I think that's a great topic to delve and unpack with your partner. Here's another question. How do you get past infidelity when all I can do is obsess and drive myself crazy? This is recent and consuming my thoughts. It sounds like this
Yeah.
may have just happened, or if not, the point is you are still stuck possibly in what we call the discovery phase, where every conversation is about the affair. You're still fact finding, you're still researching, and you're finding out bits of information along the way, which keeps you trapped in the pit of your pain. You have to get to a place where you focus on your individual healing. And if your desire is to restore your relationship, the fact of the matter is, most of us are not capable of doing it on our own. You need somebody to kind of guide you through a process. So, in addition to watching our show and reading great books and reading great blogs, are you going to counseling? Is anybody helping you with your triggers? Is anybody showing you how to manage your emotions and your flooding thoughts? If not, that is what I would highly recommend.
Absolutely. Here's a comment from Matt. He says, that's where I am right now. We were divorced and remarried. The venom I spit for years with my family has caused a huge wedge between my wife and my family, praying for restoration. And to me, that's a wonderful thing that you're praying for restoration. It can be restored, and that your family just needs to see that you're a changed person. People will not believe, right, Hassan? We talk about this all the time, the transformation in your personality as a whole, because you made a decision and submitted that to the Lord. And I think that's a huge thing. We can always do that.
Absolutely. I think that's absolutely right. We have another comment from Rhonda. Good morning from Goodyear, Arizona. You two are amazing. Thank you. Getting my marriage back on track. Just finished chapter 7 in The Audacity of Marriage, and my life and world is changing for the better. God bless you too. These are
Wow,
the
that's
testimonials
awesome.
we love to hear because it keeps us doing what it is that we do. We appreciate that.
Yes.
Now we have from Tiffany. We both came to the marriage with teen. Oh, I'm sorry. You read that already. I mean, there's so many questions here. We appreciate the fact that you guys are literally throwing these questions in here. It has been like a
We
firestorm.
do. We do. But you know what, guys? It goes so fast, and it's so hard for us to try to balance between quick fire answers and getting to all the questions. But the good news is that we're here every week, every Friday to answer your questions. Also, don't forget, you can always text us. You can always email us your questions. We will prepare it nicely. You can leave us video questions. We will prepare it nicely and show it on the show live and answer your questions. So there's always an opportunity for you to get that done. I want to thank you guys for showing up. Hassani, do you have any last comments before we close out the show?
All I want to say, guys, is that we love you and we see all of these questions that have come, and we promise that we will answer a lot of these come Monday. So stay tuned, enjoy your week, and tune in Monday morning, get in early. We're going to address these questions and hit these things hard.
All right. Bye, guys. See you next week.
If you would like to be a guest on our show, or if you're interested in one of our restoration programs, contact us today at couplesacademy.org.